This is the Everly Model 202. Just got a really classic frame made with chromoly steel, the frame and the fork. So it rides pretty well. It's solid, but a little bit more vibration dampening than something like aluminum. Relatively lightweight as well. It's 37 pounds with the battery, with the motor. That's incredible. This is one of the lightest weight electric bikes I've seen. It does only come in this one sort of high step traditional diamond frame style, which I don't know, I want to call it 20 inches. This is about 20.5 inches for the seat tube. But the reach isn't very extreme because they've got these sparrow bars that sort of sweep forward and then come back. Really easy to reach. Brings your whole body upright, a little bit more comfortable. So, again, steel frame, swept back bars, nice touch points, leather stitched grips, leather saddle with some cool adjustments. If you look under here, there's these different cords, and then there's a screw right here so you could stretch the saddle. They tend to become supple over time as you use them. So it's neat that they've kind of built in kind of a maintenance and sometimes you can condition them, and again, Brooks saddles are what I'm more familiar with that way. But this is Cuban, looks maybe like a cheaper version but still pretty high quality. Love that it's got these little saddlebag loops. And on that subject of transporting and sort of utility, there are mounting points all over this thing. Really awesome. I'm always saying like, oh, I wish they had bottle cage bosses on electric bikes, because a lot of times the batteries are big and they take up this whole kind of down tube area, especially on step through bikes. Well, they've gone to town with this one. Look at this. There's bottle cage bosses on the seat tube, bottle cage bosses on the top tube even. So you could have two bottles, or maybe like a folding lock or a mini pump or something like that. Then we've got threaded eyelets back here at the seat stays and near the dropout, so you could add a rack very easily. There's even two of them down here. So you could add maybe a fender with like a support strut right here and then a rack on the second one. There are like mounting points right there for a front fender, and even on the fork for adding another pannier rack. Okay, so just tons of customization options, transportation portability. It's really cool that there's so much potential in a frame like this, and an electric bike that's relatively affordable. And this thing's $11.99. Okay, so about $1,200. Most of the time I'm looking at like $1,500 plus, but most of the time you get more power and more range. Okay, this has a 250 watt internally geared hub right there we go. Akame. It's a brand I haven't really heard of as much, but internally geared hub motors have been making them for a long time, and it's relatively quiet. It seems decent. You get a 1-year comprehensive warranty on this bike. So again, the price point and just not having so much power, it seems like that would hold up pretty well, and it's supported by a 14-speed drivetrain. So we got 7 sprockets here in the rear and 2 up front. 2 times 7, we got 14. Pretty generic derailleur RB microshift. I have not seen that a lot. I believe it'd be compatible with Shimano parts if you wanted to swap that out, and it even looked like there was room for an 8 sprocket cassette back here. If you felt like you needed more gears, you could take it to 16. The shifters up here are also microshift. It's got a little window, 1 through 7. Pretty easy to reach, little triggers, left and right. Nice stuff. So there's more of a bicycle feel with this, more of pedaling actively and agile. 37 pounds, that's easy enough to carry up and down the stairs, which I did here because I wanted to be out of the way, and it was no problem, even with the battery pack on. I took the battery off earlier. It only weighs 3 pounds. I might do that now just to kind of demonstrate. We got the key, does not have to be left in while riding, which I appreciate. Turn it, kind of flip it up like this. There you go. So you could add a second battery pack if you wanted to increase your range. It'd only be 3 pounds, pretty lightweight, or you could bring the charger with you. This is 36 volts, 5.2 amp hours, so about half the size of, or at least half the capacity of most of the batteries, or what I'd call average. So smaller motor, smaller, more efficient motor, smaller, lighter weight battery. I've looked at a couple of these bikes. The battery on some are a little tighter. On this one, it's a little bit looser. Kind of see it, a little bit of slop rattling around. Because it's more of a city or an urban bike, you're not off-road. It's not going to be banging around too much. And I've been able to put some tape or rubber bumpers before to sort of, tighten things up. But just don't overdo it, because then you could have trouble clicking the battery. It could fall off, and that'd be terrible. the frame and everything, just it feels a little bit more like a traditional bicycle. It rides that way. It's quiet. You are getting assist, and the assist is activated by this 10 magnet cadence sensor. So as these little magnets pass the sensor down there, it activates and deactivates the motor. There's no throttle mode or anything. It's just pedal assist, and it works pretty well. You don't have to push especially hard. You move the cranks and it turns on or it turns off. There are 5 levels, so you can kind of dial it up or dial it down. Even at level 5, which is the highest, it's not especially powerful, but again, keeps it quiet, and it definitely helps when you're climbing a hill and maybe you're fighting the wind or something. It's a little bit windy out here today, and that's something that I think about when I'm riding, is just, hey, what's it going to be like after work getting home? Am I going to have to get really sweaty, or am I going to be completely exhausted? Something like this is a really cool way to just gently get into electric bicycles and continue that active ride style. So I really like that. You do need to stop when you're hitting some of those higher speeds. I believe the top assisted speed on this is about 18 miles per hour. And the brakes are pretty generic. They're just like no-name levers up here. They do take a little bit more effort to pull there, and especially long. And they're mechanical. What do we got here? It's kind of a V-brake, or a single side mechanical actuator right there. It's, not the greatest brakes that I've ever seen, but you get pretty good leverage by gripping at like the perimeter of the wheel versus like a disc brake or something. It's lighter, it's cheaper. That's one of the areas of just like, There are no motor inhibitors in these brake levers either, and maybe that's because the motor is just really not that powerful. And the responsiveness also, it's like 10 magnets is quite a few. I've actually had good success on 6 magnet cadence sensors. This one just seems a little bit sluggish, so it's like, it's okay. I do like that there's a adjustable length kickstand over here, pretty nice, very solid. And then the pedals, at first glance, it's like, whoa, are those the Welgo ones that, the great traction pad and pretty stiff? They're actually plastic, but the bumps are a little bit more solid. They aren't quite as slippery as some of the other ones I've seen. Again, keeps it cheap, keeps it lightweight. Here's sort of the motor power cable with a quick disconnect. There's no quick release on the front or rear wheel, so you will need some tools if you're out and about, cruising around. I was mentioning comfort earlier, and I feel like this does a pretty good job. If you really wanted to add and improve the ride quality, you could swap out this seat post. It's 27.2 millimeters. You could add a little kind of a shock post, or maybe even a thud buster. Something like that, body float. It's optional, I guess. It's just nice to know you can have it. And then the little bell. So I think that gives a pretty good overview of what to expect with this bike. Joytech front hub. Wheel size is 700, 28 inches, 700 by 38C. So a little bit more comfort than a super narrow road bike tire, and this is just sort of a hybrid tread. Nothing super special. It gets Kenda Quest. Nice. Okay, well that's it. 2 colors, 1 frame size, 1-year warranty. Let's talk about operation. So when you approach this bike and you're ready to actually turn on the control systems and stuff, you just press this little button here on the battery pack, and it activates the screen, which is backlit. In fact, I might kind of move it over here into the shade. So it gives you a battery percentage up here for how much is remaining. I'm at 97%. Speed, it's in kilometers per hour. I don't know how to switch it for miles per hour. Odometer down here, again, kilometers per hour. And then there's really just these 2 buttons on the underside. It's down or up. And that gives you your choice from 0 up through 5, pedal assist. 0 just runs this thing like a bicycle. You pedal, that's all you get. 1 is just, it's almost like unnoticeable. It's super, super gentle. And there's that little chevron. 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you get to 5, you can cycle all the way through back to 0 by hitting up 1 more time. I've been riding this mostly on 5. Again, a little bit of a delay for the cadence sensor to activate, but once it does, you totally feel the motor. I like to make this comparison frequently, being in the United States, that 250 watts, that's close to what professional athletes put out on long distance rides. So this isn't a sprint, it's not the most powerful. It's just like, it's a pretty constant power output that's going to help you. It's adequate, and that's what they limit to in Europe. So it's doable, but it's not the kind of thing that's going to take you up a huge hill without any effort. For someone who's really heavy, and especially if you loaded this bike up with racks and stuff, it'd be nice. It's better than nothing, but yeah, it's a little bit more limited. This is more of a bicycle, something that you pedal with, that you enjoy, and I think the 14 speeds reflect that. So there we go. We've kind of got the whole thing. The display panel stays fixed. It's not removable. I do like that the battery is removable and that it has the little light up that kind of shows you how full it is. You can charge it on or off the frame. See that some of the cables and stuff are just connected with zip ties. I think they look decent, but this isn't the same kind of like purpose-built frame where everything's internally routed. And again, lower price, a little bit more efficient, like minimalist, and I'm totally okay with that. So I'm gonna grab the bike and head towards these stairs. One of the other cool things about this bike is that they will ship anywhere within the continental United States. I think it's only like $50. And if you live in Canada and Mexico, they'll also ship there. So that's cool. Just gonna pick it up with one hand. Whoop. Carry it down the stairs. Not a problem. You know, that's cool. You can't do that without every electric bike. So I'm on the smaller sprocket. I'm gonna go ahead and start pedaling, and you can listen for that motor to kick in. A little bit of a delay. We are near the ocean, so it might be a little loud, but listen closely. Okay, so I was trying to climb this steeper bit and it didn't activate quite quickly enough, and I don't want to strain my knees, so I just stopped. But hopefully you could see sort of the delay in starting and stopping. I do like that the motor is not mounted in the front wheel, because that just keeps the front of the bike lighter. I feel like there's pretty good weight distribution all across the frame right here, and I'm generally impressed. There are a lot of city bikes out there that are either super expensive, like the Faraday Porter, and very awesome, maybe a little bit higher tech displays and stuff like that. Stuff that's a little bit tougher, maybe like the Ride, also a little bit more expensive, but maybe a single speed. And I feel like this captures more of the bicycle, you know, like I'm pedaling around, I got gears, whether the motor helps or not a huge deal, but when it does help, it's great. And if I was pedaling and riding with both hands, I wouldn't have had to slow down at this curve down here, and it would have helped me up this hill, and it would have made a big difference. It might not have completely carried me, but it would have made a good difference. So I'm gonna do this one more time with an approach from down there and actually see how the motor does to carry me up. Okay, hill climb test. Yeah, it got me up. I was pushing just a little bit. It was mostly the motor, and you could hear it going, you know, struggling. I only weigh like 135 pounds too, so hopefully that gives you some idea of what a 250 watt geared motor is capable of. Here's another shot of my body position. Just kind of a little bit of a forward lean, but not too bad. I'm about 5'9", and feels just about right for me. So I'm gonna pedal off and got the hill here, so I'm gonna get some assist. It's definitely helping. Taking the strain off my knees. A little bit of rattling, and that's that battery being just a little bit loose like I was talking about earlier. And I have noticed a couple times, I'm used to stopping pedaling and having the motor just cut immediately. This one does have a bit of a delay. And when you activate the brakes, again, it does not cut power, so it's just a little bit slower to deactivate. But you know, the motor's not super powerful, so you can totally override it. You just gotta squeeze a little harder. Love that it has that 1-year warranty and that you can get a bunch of accessories, racks, and even some lights and stuff from these guys. For the full write-up on this and some more information and other city-style e-bikes, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. Ride safe.